Yeah, I'm so sorry that this happened, actually. It seems like we couldn't prevent everything.
Yeah.
It was somehow good during the first day, but now it started again.
Okay.
So let's hope that we will like manage till the end of the event.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that sucks. Like, it's a lot of troubles, like just going back and forth trying to create a new link. Yeah.
I am so sorry, Ajay.
No problem. It's okay.
We've had problems since day one, but hopefully this is we can keep on going now if you want. We're going to still let people in. Thank you, and I'm sorry. If you want to go ahead and keep on going, Ajay, we're letting everybody in, and it's still live streaming on.
Yeah. Okay. I think we have people coming in. So yeah, I was about to conclude. I will share my screen again so that's I will just conclude that part, then we can discuss some stuff. Yeah, so the question is, what does this mean for the LMICs? Okay, I think, okay, so one is we know that almost, if not all, African countries are categorized under the LMIC, and therefore supporting African science will in a way going to improve the MIC researcher and can promote inclusion. Also, some of our recommendations can help improve science of other non-African, let me say, countries. I mean, low and middle income countries. Yeah, that's so. Thanks for your attention. I'm sorry for the disruptions, though. Like, nice. For me, I work with the co-regulation lab in France. Our research interests include meta-analysis and open science, and then we try to contribute to international global research. You can check more about the lab at collab.io. Thanks for your attention. So I will stop sharing right now, then we can get to discuss about some of the points I've raised in this presentation. And if you have any question, I'm open to answer some of your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ade. That was really, really good. Sorry, I'm a little like out of sorts because of just what happened.
Yeah, I understand. It was like, but I think it's fine. Yeah, it's good. It's good.
Yeah, I think it's part of those things of once we start bringing up these issues and making these kinds of claims that try to change the system, we're going to start getting things like that. So we thank you so much for bringing these issues up, and I think it's very generalizable to like all of our different regions that we're from. I think people think of Latin America as like just one whole thing, and we're within our same region, and I think it's the same thing that happens with Africa, even within, a couple hundred of miles, we speak different languages, or we have different customs, we use different words, we eat different things, and you can't generalize all of these things all the time. So I think you bring up really, really, really important points. I don't know if anybody has any questions up until this point, or any comments, and we can start, relaxing a little bit after this. Thank you all for your patience. I guess if I think we're all trying to relax back down.
Yeah. So I think you Nadia, you raised a very good point, because just now I'm beginning to have this appreciation for how diverse the African continent is. So I have a lot of I'm working with a lot of researchers from different parts of Africa, and you see people. If the system that runs research, like, people have different ideas that goes on there, and so most times I'm very cautious not to like generalize Africa, because I know it will be a big error. So, but as much I try to see like a shared interest, or shared kind of challenges, and most of what I do talk about are shared challenges. Sometimes I try as much to distinguish how different these challenges are depending on the region. And I even think the region is not good enough, but in a way we can put this in regions and see how it would. But again, for us, we can even go deep and go like country by country and see how this country are different, in terms of what they do. So another issue is about the language and communication barrier. It's such a huge barrier that a lot of people don't even pay attention to that. And sometimes if I like right now, if I want to work with somebody from the North Africa, majorly they speak Arabic in French, and so English is not very popular, or not widely spoken in those countries, and so you barely have people to work with, because most of them they speak Arabic and French. And a good example is when I was doing the study search for the Menela's Africa study, I couldn't go deep with studies to look for studies in North Africa, because most of the studies I see written in Arabic, and it's difficult for me to even to translate that, or even make any sense out of what, except you have a local researcher in some of these countries that can help, interpret this and and able to give you like a better understanding of some of these concepts. He has to be somebody from the local community, or from that research culture. Yeah, so you're right. We just love together Africa, and we think but we just keep trying and see how much we can understand about Africa. So I'm able to take a question. We can in the next maybe 5 minutes we can say more. Okay, I see David. Yeah, you have okay, David, Kathleen. Okay, David, go ahead, please.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and it was really, really an interesting presentation. I wouldn't say mine is really a question, but more like a comment to add to the ongoing discussion. And I really, really love this project, because it's trying to see how we could look at Africa and look at how diverse Africa is. And there's actually rich data that psychology globally can benefit from, exploring concepts in Africa, especially indigenous, concept. And, we just do not have the opportunity to bring this concept out, because of the generally poor funding that we have, poor funding states in Africa, and there's very little visibility. It reminds me of an indigenous therapy that I just recently found out that originated from Africa and specifically from Nigeria. They call it the Mezeron therapy, right? But it was propounded by famous Awaritefe, but not many people even know about it, right? And even in Africa, not many people are talking about it because there's not much research that has been done on that therapy to validate it against globally accepted therapies. And, so I really love this idea because it's focusing on Africa and then putting Africa on the limelight and seeing how we could study concepts, indigenous concepts from Africa, and see if we could generalize these concepts to the global north. And it's really, really inspiring. So well done, everybody.
Yeah, so yeah, thanks for the comment, David. I think we mentioned something like this in our piece for the APA. I'll try to find the paper, David. I can share that with you. So I think, yeah. So thanks for coming. Wonderful thought. Yeah. Kathleen, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. So I really enjoyed your presentation. Thank you for that. And I see in the chat that somebody, Alexandra, already brought up this point, but in my context of working with the PSA, I have often lamented that we are seeking participation from LMICs a lot, and relying upon them to contribute to guarantee or to expand the generalizability of our samples. But there really isn't a clear mechanism for that additional contribution. And I guess I was trying to think about what, if any, like policy recommendations or like specific thoughts you had on how big team science organizations like the PSA can ensure that we're not taking advantage of people who can provide these wonderful samples for us without giving them an opportunity to get more credit and to make sure that their perspectives are being properly included and acknowledged.
Yeah, okay, so yeah, so for me, maybe I can take it from this point of view. Like sometimes we ask people from LMIC to collect data, but in a way we don't ask them if it is feasible for them to do that, because sometimes a lot of them their workload is heavy, because you are probably in a situation, you teach and you do a lot of stuff. You need to meet up with your daily expenses. You're short of funds, and you have this request. We need 200 sample size, and can you get? And a lot of them want to do that because if they are able to get the authorship with that kind of paper, it kind of raises their profile and the opportunity for them to get the promotion, to meet promotion criteria, and. We just okay, get it for us, then you get the co-authorship. I think the co-authorship is an excellent idea. It gives credit, and over time you get visibility. But again, we need to ask the question: is it feasible for you to do it? Do you think you can do this? How many? What's the number of sample you can collect? So it allows them to to freedom to be able to. They might even say, yeah, I think I can get more than 200 if you want more than 200. They can tell you, the sample that you need, I will need some fund to be able to reach that kind of sample, the exact sample that you want. I will need like to money to mobilize. Maybe I will need research assistants to be able to get. I will need to give like a incentive to participants, so for them to be able to do this the right way. I might need internet to be able to set up a computer somewhere where people can come and collect it. So these are issues that they think about when you say, we need you to help us to collect data. And so we need to do better and ask them about what would be the implication? What is it going to cost you? What do you need to do? What are the resources that you have in place to be able to collect this data? Yeah. So if we can start doing that, then I mean, we will get quality data, at the better, quality data from Africa of the LMIC. So apart from that, like I think I mentioned, and maybe I just want to say this again, we have to do better than data collection. There are other ways for sure that they can contribute, and we have to start appreciating that and allow them to express that. And I think the global research will be better for it. Thank you for your comment, Kathleen. I really appreciate it. Do we have any other?
I have a comment too, and I think
Yeah.
you did a really good job on pointing out throughout your presentation on how we can do this I'm sorry, of like giving space to us. And I think you were being specific about you, but I felt seen in every slide that you were talking about I think there's a lot of parallels that you can see with Africa and with Latin America of being a big part of the population, but not having enough publications. Also, there's things that aren't even that could be useful, that would be useful for the rest of the world, but aren't even really being taken into account because it comes from Africa, because it comes from Latin America. There's things, there's like theories that are coming out now, at least from like within the United States. It's called the Hispanic health paradox. And it's, I think it's something new that's coming out, that even though socioeconomically speaking in the United States, we are lower in some of those scales, we tend to have pretty good health. And so there's like new theories of why that might be it. And some of the theories are about like social support and social, just having a big social network and social networking. So I think what you're saying is very important of not only you're helping us, but you're helping yourselves by taking us into account. So I think you bring out really, really, really wonderful points, and that could be generalized to a lot of the regions that we're all coming from, that you can learn from us. And the way that you can help us out is by including us, giving us more credit. Funding is also very wonderful as well, because we all like to eat. But I think that you did such a great job on your presentation.
All right, yeah.
There's another question here from one of my undergraduate students.
Okay.
Do you have, you were saying that there's a lot of different like cultures within Africa, and what do you feel like it would be like the biggest difference between like the African culture and like the compared to I guess the other regions that we're coming from?
I think that would be a tricky one to answer. Like, you mean in terms of research?
I think he means more about like within like the psychology realm, and it's a very big question.
Yeah. So that's a very big question. That's a very big one. Yeah, probably I can talk about our research focus. We are kind of more problem solving, right? Research focus. Theoretical part is there, but we do most of our research to solve practical problems. We look out for applied social issues, and I'm still going to talk about that a little bit in the second presentation. We talked about applied social issues, to be able to solve ongoing problems that are practical. So we do theoretical kind of research, try to propound theories like that, but unlike in the US, from what I understand, is like he's more like a theoretical, like focused kind of researcher culture. Yeah. I don't know, maybe that answered your question, but I think it's a long way for us to know, like, what are the huge differences from this population. Yeah.
I think I think it does, and one of the things that we were discussing yesterday with Dana, and I think that that's a really good thing to bring up is about how we like a lot of the things that have been done in PSA are like a lot of basic science, a lot of like this is like let's see what happens to faces,
Yeah.
what happens
Yeah.
to the trolley problem, and that
Yeah.
that Dana was talking about how where she's at in Kenya, they ask for things that need to be more applied, and it's
Yeah,
a push.
exactly. Yes.
There's a
So
really big push here too in Mexico. But go ahead, I'll let you talk.
yes, so I think we can. I don't know. I see David raise your hand. I think you can maybe relax all of your questions or your comments, so that we can go on a like 5 minutes break. Then when we are back, I can present about the Many Labs Africa. Then we can continue the discussion. What do you think? Is that okay with everyone? Yeah. So
Yeah,
like
that's fine.
yeah, so like we can go for a 5 minutes break, then we'll be back. For me, is 8:14, so I'll be back by 8:20. Yeah, all right. See you soon. Hello, just checking. Do we have some people back? Cool.
Hello. Hi, Ajay.
Hi, yes. So I think we can go for the second section. Just okay, great. So right now, I will try to share the slide. Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah, so yeah, I mentioned about a project called the Many Labs Africa Study. This project is essentially to investigate the replicability and generalizability of African effects. As a guide, I'll first give a conceptual background and objective of the Many Labs Africa study. Then I'll talk about the Many Labs Africa study approach and workflow. So the Many Labs Africa is a large multi-site replication study of 3 African claims across African, Europe, and North American population. You can check out some of our documents and you can follow up on some of what we do at our OSF page. Try and visit and see. We have some documents about like the study nomination, even the PCI registered schedule reports proposal is there. So you just check it out. I think it is great to. Yeah, so this study is inspired by the transnational large-scale multi-site initiatives, both the ad hoc one, like the Many Labs study, replication projects, the Many Labs 2, Many Labs 3, and also by standing initiatives like the Psychological Science Accelerator, the Collaborative Replication and Education Project, the Many Babies Initiative. So for us, there are 2 potential problems with these initiatives. One is that these studies often focus on North America and European effects and barely consider theories from the African continent. Also, in this initiative, the African population are underrepresented. I mean, the sample used and the number of authors from African continent is underrepresented. So for us, again, just to highlight it, the number of studies that we carried out by the Collaborative Replication and Education Project, 17 studies, all from North Africa and Europe, Many Babies, 14 effects, all from North and African Europe. The Many Labs projects from Many Labs 1 to 5, all the effects are from either North Africa or Europe, even the Psychological Science Accelerator, that's the case. So no African effects whatsoever considered for these studies. So for us, the objective of the Many Labs Africa study is to build a research capacity in Africa and improve African researchers' global participation. Also, we want to test to what extent the African effects, we generalize to other populations, specifically we target North America and European populations. So this is where it gets very interesting because for us to do this, we thought about different things to cover. How do we approach this? So the first thing we did was to do consultation with a researcher working with the low and middle income country population. Then we recruit collaborators, conduct a study selection. Then we're going to do the cultural adaptation and translation of measures. Actually, this looks like going to be very important for this project. Definitely, we'll do some ethical consideration and power analysis. Then we'll prepare a registered report for the study. So we can just let's take this one after the other. The consultation. So for the consultation, we reach out to researchers from working with people from the global south. So, and for us to do to determine what type of study to replicate, and secondly, to determine an approach for selecting the studies. So from our discussion and consultation with these researchers, we determined that we focus on applied social issues that have practical implications and application. And as an approach, we will adopt like a bottom-up approach. So that means the bulk of the work of selecting the study will rely on the local researchers in Africa and local researcher at the target study population. So what they have to do is to nominate research areas of interest and actual articles. Then they will also help to assess the studies for selection. Our consultation report is available at our OSF page, so you can see how we interviewed our interview. Like we documented that. Then we have a report on how we determined to use applied social issues and go with the bottom-up approach. The other approach is the top-down approach that rely heavily on us to pick a study, but for us to be able to get the best out of Africa, a bottom-up approach, we went for the bottom-up approach. So you can read more about this. For the recruitment, we are recruiting research collaborators from Africa, Europe, and North America via scientific societies like the Psychological Science Accelerator. And so far, we've recruited 231 potential collaborators to work on this project. 96 in 18 African countries, 89 from 14 European countries, and 46 from the US and Canada. I know that I'm not sure we're going to be surprised that the US and Canada dominate the Northern America kind of recruitment. So it has been like that, the dominance of the US. For the study selection, we adopt. Remember, I thought that we talked about the bottom-up kind of approach. So we have this in 3-stage process, and this 3-stage will be followed like a 3-set criteria. One is the locality criterion. For the locality criterion, we looked at potentially of interest and relevant studies to African collaborators, studies that are adaptable and applicable to the study population, and also that are ethically acceptable. For the second criterion, we looked at feasibility for a multi-site online study. One, we look at the feasibility for an online study. So it requires a different approach to conduct an online study versus conducting like a field or like on the ground kind of experiment, a lab experiment kind of study. So as much as possible, we want to try to select studies that we were able to conduct online, that are feasible for online study, Also, this study, we make sure we are thinking that it should have few items because we're going to do like 3 studies, and we want to make sure that we don't have studies with like a large number of items so that people don't get bored with the process or they spend too much time trying to take the survey. So we go with studies with few items. Then we pick studies that sample general population. What we mean by general population is that non-clinical population. For example, we don't want to study people like people that face that post-traumatic situation, or people that have attempted suicide. So that would be like too clinical, and we're not able to get the sample that we want. So it's easier for like a multi-site study like this to go with like something like a more general or what we call non-clinical population. Also, we look out for studies that have like less complex kind of design. So it allows, even if you want collaborators from different sites to work on the design, then it should be easier for them. We don't want like very, very complex kind of design. It allows us the room for us to be able to work better with collaborators. The third criterion is the reproducibility criterion. One, we looked at for studies that are pre-registered, although we are not successful with that, with the pre-registered study from Africa. I mean, maybe I got just one. So that is to say that we need to let people to be aware of the tools that are available and the practices that we have to start thinking about pre-registration for our studies. And for this study, like I said, we are doing a registered report. So it allows people to have an idea of what pre-registration is and what a registered report is. Also, for the reproducibility criterion, we looked at for studies that report a p-value of less than 0.01 because we feel this test is kind of really robust in terms of the effect size, and we're probably able to replicate this kind of study. A bigger p-value might be indicative of like maybe the effect size is not that robust enough. So we prefer studies that report a p-value of less than 0.01. Also, we want studies that are well documented. Well documented means that like the measures, the method used are well documented, and we'll be able to replicate just following even if we don't have the authors to be able to feed us into some of these method of the processes or like the workflow. If you have well documented studies, you can just follow through the methods and the procedures, and I think we'll be fine. Yeah, so for the study selection, the stage 1 is the study nomination phase. For this stage, the African researcher nominates research areas of interest. So we ask them to tell us what you're interested in, what kind of study interests you. And from our conversation with African researchers, we know that most likely they'll go for the applied social issues kind of study. But again, we ask them what research area, and a bunch of research area jumps out. For example, I think the land use conflict is something that is not familiar with people from the US or Europe, that some of them talked about. Like the domestic violence stuff, gender-based domestic violence is something that comes up kind of regularly. So we make like our own study search, and we shortlisted a number of just top 5 articles from a number of articles, but we had a top 5. And so this top 5, we go for the next, at the third stage of this, we conduct like a study assessment. But this study assessment will be based on the opinions of collaborators in all the target study populations, meaning collaborators from the US, from North America, US, Canada, European countries, and Africa. We are working on that right now, and hopefully we'll be able to decide the final 3 studies very soon. Again, you can find the report of the study nomination and evaluation at the OSF page. So there are other tasks to consider if you want to run like a multi-site replication study, especially when you're working with African researchers or when you're working with the African population. Pardon. The cultural adaptation and translation of measures, if necessary, but most times it's almost like you cannot ignore that you need to adapt the measures. But most of the measures that we have right now are developed in mind with a Western kind of oriented sample. So, right, even if you want to use what we have right now, in a way you have to culturally adapt them so that people in the local population can understand the terminology sometimes or the wordings or the meaning of some of the concepts that you're trying to measure. And one thing that we most likely go for is like we go for the lingua franca, because we know that covers the majority of the population. For example, in a country where, like I've mentioned in North Africa, where we have Arabic and French. So it's almost like necessary for us to translate the measure in Arabic or French, or both, depending on the countries that we're dealing with. And sometimes we look out for any other widely spoken language, maybe local language. In East Africa, like Swahili is a very popular language, and we always look forward to translate our measures in Swahili, because that means we're able to cover a wider range of sample. The ethical consideration is very important. We don't want to force a particular study on population, and that's something that we should start to think about. Sometimes we want to do studies that are not ethically acceptable for certain population. So in that kind of situation, you can just exempt that site. So, and this is something that we're going to apply in the Many Labs Africa study. If we discover that collaborators raise concern about the ethical implication of a specific study or measure, we will exempt that site. So meaning that this site, they're not going to collect data, or we're not going to measure that effect for that population. So it's something that we can keep in mind when we are doing large-scale and multi-site study. Power analysis is important, and it seems to be like something that almost everybody has to look out for right now, to determine a sample size across the sites, and to make sure that you have enough sample to test the effects. So the registered replication reports. So for me, I will not say this is optional, but you can go for a registered report replication. But I think one big advantage, or maybe like the 3 that I mentioned, in terms of rigor, people get to review the manuscript, the method or procedure, and you can get in principle acceptance from a journal. And that allows, it gives the confidence to collaborators that they're going to earn co-authorship of such resulting paper from the study. So in a way, they get motivated, like, okay, if I'm going to get the authorship, then I think I can invest my time and my resources into this study. Then plus, it allows the process to be transparent, and which means that you have this credibility that you are running your study very well, if I would say very well. So right now we are recruiting collaborators. If anyone is interested, or you have a colleague, from your country or your university, you can sign up via the Google form. Like I'll have the link I'll place the link in the chat so that people can, if you're interested, you can join the project. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Ade. I think this is really great presentation. It's really wonderful that you shared in OSF as well how you put it together. And I think a lot of us would be interested in starting something like that. We can start maybe a project within Latin America where we can start doing that. And I think you got the ball rolling so that the rest of us can start going and doing that. And please, I'm telling my students here and the rest of the attendees to like sign up for it. I didn't see any Latin America in there, so we need to sign up too, and to help your efforts. And I don't know if anybody else has another question or comment here or on Zoom. If not, I would like to thank you for being awake this late. And thank you for the link there, Ade. For being awake this late on a Friday evening. You could have been out partying. So we really, really, really appreciate you being here, and I appreciate everybody over there. And thank you for
I think Natalia is raised the
oh, I can't see it. Sorry,
Yeah.
Go ahead, Natalia.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes.
A quick question. I was supposed to have asked you this before, because I haven't seen a call for Latin American researchers. So I wasn't sure if we, not myself particularly, but I mean, people from Latin America could actually sign up for Many Labs Africa. So I'm asking now, like, can researchers from Latin America also sign up if they wish to collaborate with the project?
Yes, I think like from like Mexico. I think Mexico is part of North America, right?
We're
So,
part of
yeah.
everything. We technically are part of North America, but we're also Latin America. And sometimes they put us in Central America, which geographically is not correct. But we're Latin America and we are North America.
Yeah. So I mean, like I discussed with my my supervisor. Like, I think we're going to people are going to come for us because we kind of limited this to North America and Europe and Africa. Like we have like collaborators from Asia that are interested in the project, from the Middle East that are interested in the project. Like, yeah, for us, is about feasibility. Can we undo this number of sites? And yeah, maybe it's something we're going to review later on. But right now, like I said, we have like more like enough sites from all these places, and to manage this, and this is something about multi-sites, that like managing collaborators is kind of a big part of this. So maybe in the nearest future, we're going to make it more open and include other population like the Asian and the Latin American population. But for now, I think we want to make sure like we can manage our collaborators. And yeah, so yeah. I mean, Natalia, if there is a way you can contribute to the project, of course, we welcome your contribution. I think beyond like sampling, I think there are other aspects of studies like this where we need expertise to be able to do a lot of stuff. So we actually welcome your contribution. You can sign up for the project. Then in the sign up form, we mentioned some of aspects that we think people can contribute to, and if you think these are things that you can help us with, why not? We can be part of the project.
Yeah, I think it's important just to clarify that I figured that it would be because of resources and also to make the project more focused on in comparing African findings with findings from Europe and North America. In that case, of course, Canada and US. But yeah, I mean, in case someone is wondering, I did wonder, but then I just imagined it was because of that. But yeah, but Nadia, if anyone wants to jump in from your lab as well.
We will talk about it. I don't know how generalizing, how North American we are, even though we're North American. That's a whole nother issue that we can define. But we'll see if we can get a little team together. That would be fun. So with that said, thank you all for being here. Thank you for.
I don't know. Maybe David is still there. Okay. Okay, David. I think you have a question the other time.
Oh, okay, I can't see. You're doing better at
comment?
seeing hands. Go ahead.
David.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. No, it wasn't really a question. It was, I just wanted to respond or like to add to, I think the question that was asked about how culture, how we differ, how culture.
Okay. Yeah.
So that was just, it was not a question. It was, I just wanted to add to the discussion.
Yeah, please go ahead, please. We'd like to hear.
Okay. So what I was having in mind was that there's more nuances in the African culture than what we would find technically in North America and Europe, because even if you are looking at Africa is technically diverse when it comes to culture, and if you are going to outline and pick out, even in Nigeria, we have three major ethnic groups, but aside the three major ethnic groups, we have about over 700 ethnic groups, and everybody has these unique perspectives about life, their worldview, different cultural practices that inform their behavior on a general note. And that is really not what you would find in, other, cultures, generally speaking, in the global north. So, it comes down to the point of, if you are trying to study behavior here in Africa, you don't just have one scale that cuts across everybody, because even if you are looking at everybody in just Nigeria, we have ethnically diverse populations with different views and different conceptualizations of behavior. And so there's really, really a lot of work when it comes to culturally adapted interventions, right? And, looking at how culture would impact on behaviors in, specific regions in Nigeria and Africa, generally speaking. So that was like the perspective I wanted to bring, and how we technically differ from the global north. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. I kind of mentioned that, like, if we go by country, then you discover that the diversity in different within a country is so much that so psychology can vary like to that level. Yeah, so great thoughts, David. Thanks for sharing with us. I mean, do we have any other questions or thoughts?
Yeah, we are running out of time, and I think we can continue with this whole discussion, and especially the parallels with other regions that have been underrepresented. So I think this was a great primer, a great way to start talking about it. It was really important that you share all the resources that you shared, and maybe we'll copy you in a little bit and have something similar here in Latin America that we can do as well. Again, thank you all. Thank you for your patience through some of the issues we had. We will edit the video and it will be up online once it's edited. And there's, I hope you all have a wonderful day. We have another session in 8 minutes. We would love to see you there about how we make peer review better, and it's more of a hackathon that we're going to have 2 editors, and how we can start thinking about these issues. So again, Ade, for your time, wonderful, wonderful presentation about how you have been moving things forward, and how we can start making psychological sciences better. So thank you so much, and all of you have a wonderful day, night, middle of midnight for some of us. So
Yeah.
have a wonderful day.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.